Welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure to have this first meeting with the teachers. I'm here only to say that we are really happy that there are many students that are following the SoBigData Academy camp. As you know, Sarah already told everybody the fact that this is our first edition, and I don't remember the number of countries, 39, something like that, that are
Yes.
joining us. And so please enjoy this first meeting with some of the teachers. And I don't want to steal more time than that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, first of all, I would like to say thank you again for joining this meeting. As you know, there will be other 2 meetings in the next month. So please come there to listen to other professors that you will meet in the future. But for now, I would like to introduce Mark Coté, a professor at the King's College in London. So please, Mark, introduce yourself and the course that you did with us. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Great. Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome to everybody. I can't see our participants. I assume they are somewhere out there. It's good to have you all. And so I'm just going to give you a very high level overview of a course on data and society. One thing that's important to note about SoBigData as a research infrastructure is the kind of the multidisciplinarity. We take a very broad approach. In some people will be talking in much more specifically technical terms. The program that I'm leading within the SoBigData Academy takes more of a broad socio-technical approach. And it's really interesting when we think about data, because nowadays, as I think you all know, and I'm sure are all very interested in, people are thinking a lot about AI. AI seems to be transforming and disrupting everything around us. The way that we work, the way that we access information, the way that we generate information. But what's at the core of that is something that's always been at the core of SoBigData, and that's data itself. And so, like, really briefly, one of the things that we start off on is something that's really embedded into everyday life, which is this kind of program, this process of datafication, the way in which your daily life, the things that you do, the things around you are all generating discrete data points, which then are feeding complex computational systems, increasingly AI, in different formats. But the thing that I find so useful about a data-centric perspective is it helps us to understand how we, in the way that we live, are kind of how we, the kind of traction that we have within these processes. So data helps us to see the way in which we get embedded in these processes. So you might look then at, there's a range of societal benefits, but there's also, a lot of societal harms and problems. Algorithmic bias and discrimination might be one example of that, something that's very much ongoing. And beyond that, we can think about all of the ways in which it impacts on our culture, how we do things differently. But across that, I think that one of the things we'd want to stress within the data and society module is thinking about transparency, thinking about accountability, thinking about ethics. That's another dimension that we're talking about. And what I think we try to do is we try to embed these within everyday practices, the things that we engage within. whether it be ChatGPT, OpenAI, we can kind of see that. But then the other thing that we want to do is we want to bring in different kinds of sort of social and critical theory to give us an understanding of kind of societal impacts and harms, and so again, this is really useful for thinking about accountability, thinking about bias and discrimination, and so on. I'm not sure how much time. Do I have a few more minutes, or how am I doing time-wise? Sorry?
Okay.
1 minute?
If you want to...
No. That's totally fine. I probably talked too long.
Don't worry.
This is an introduction. We have time to go in more detail.
Yes, actually, if students will have in the future some questions for Mark, please do them in the chat and we will be very happy to answer them. Also in the course, I know Mark already saw many of your interventions and the reflections in the reflection corner. So we are more than happy to answer you and to be with you during this learning process. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so now I would like to introduce Francesca, that is one of the teachers for the legal and ethical aspects of data science. So Francesca, please take the word.
Yes, thank you, Sarah, for the introduction. Sorry for my voice, a little bit lower in these days. I'm Francesca Patesi from the National Institute of Research of Italy. Like Sarah and Roberto that spoke before me, and Salvo, which will be after a while. So together with my colleagues Roberta Savella from CNR2, we started her PhD now in artificial intelligence, and with Denise Amram, that is present today with me. We try to develop this module that talk about ethics. So as Mark just told you now, we try in SoBigData to figure out how to push ethical and legal matters into the beginning of the activity of data sciences. So we would like to focus on the ethics, non-discrimination, privacy issue, but also explainability issue, and all these matters that are focusing on very few regulation in Europe, at least in Europe, but also in other parts of the world too. But we would like to push forward this interest, not only managing the specific legal matters, but also try to explore how it is possible to be ethical also in our analysis. So from the collection of data to the processing of data and to the sharing of data, we would like to question all the steps and try to figure out how to protect the individual that are giving us their data in a matter. So, for example, a direct data collection, or another matter, for example, reusing the data they are sharing with other institutions, for example. So we developed this online course, this module about ethics. This is a second version because we started with the previous edition of SoBigData. We started a similar experiment, starting with the core of the module which is actual online. But with this new edition, we try, with the help of Sarah, to improve both from the interactive tests that are present and on the material. We would like to explore at the beginning what is ethics for us. So as with data researcher, I was intended the ethical question that in theory we would like to pose you. And then we will provide an introduction of the legal framework for data processing in Europe. So essentially, we would like to give you a focus on the GDPR, starting from the definition of personal data, because of course the General Data Protection Regulation is applying only to personal data. Personal data processing, and a special focus on the consent that should be freely given and explicit in most cases. So we would like to focus on this aspect. Each unit has, I forgot to mention that each unit has some exercise, so some tests or other kind of exercise to practice and to explore if your is a self-learning module. So we don't have a grade, a final grade, but is only for you to to be sure that you understood the core part of the lesson. So we have this legal part, which is about the GDPR and the intellectual property. Because also using the right copyright and understanding the right the copyright and the right that you have in using and reusing data and algorithm is a fundamental part of our work. And then we add this second part about the new regulation that 10 years ago are not in place yet, which are the use of AI, use and abuse of AI. So we try to explain in simple words the European AI Act, which is about more on the algorithm with respect to the GDPR, which is about the data, the personal data. And then a last part about the Data Governance Act. And we would like to push toward the data altruism and the reuse of data on research. So this is more or less an introduction of this part of the course. I'm happy to hear about your question later. And so now I think that Denise could integrate the part that I'm missing.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, my video is not working. It's not part of the process of minimization of data collection. It's completely involuntary. So welcome to this discussion part of the SoBigData Camp. As Francesca already told you, contents related to the regulatory framework are dealing with the challenges of using and reusing data for research purposes. And in this regard, we tried to address those elements and those provisions that are included in the GDPR, in the Data Governance Act, in the Data Act, that are promising to be an essential part of the life cycle of the research, either social science research or hard sciences research. And therefore, you may find very practice how to deal with the complex and fragmented regulatory framework, but also what are the legal tools and the mechanisms like the data altruism that has been mentioned, that can be applied in research infrastructures, in research consortia, and in your research protocol that you may need to submit to the competent ethical committee, whereas you are going to deal and process and reuse personal data that are belonging to special categories, or you are dealing with research with human beings. and how to cover the compliance activities regarding data protection, privacy, and how to boost the use of data and how to value data in your research activities. Of course, the AI Act that has been introduced in the last years is playing an essential role as well in our content proposal of this training activity, and therefore you may find also the classification of the different risks that are in categories of risks that are envisaged in the AI Act, and how to deal with the possible conformity assessment and the fundamental rights assessment that are required for high risk systems. So we are, please do not hesitate to contact us if you have any questions, issues, but please remind that the legal framework is continuously evolving. In fact, there is a recent proposal that is called the Digital Omnibus that the European Commission has just published. So stay tuned, because it could be a nice update that we may provide to this academy once and if that kind of proposals will be put into force and in place. So enjoy your journey within our SoBigData Academy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Denise. It was a very nice presentation. Your thanks. So I would like to introduce next Riccardo Guidotti, a professor of UniP, University of Pisa, that created with us the course for data mining and machine learning. So please.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you, Sarah, for the presentation. Thank you for giving me to providing me the opportunity to illustrate briefly the course. So perhaps the data mining and machine learning course, it's a bit more technical with respect to those others that have been presented so far. But still, we do believe that the way it is presented is accessible also to students that do not have a proper, let's say, scientific or even IT background, because all the topics, the arguments which are presented are built on top of very simple concepts, and also the theoretical aspects can be understood by non-experts. So data mining and machine learning is, let me take the time because I forgot about it. It's one of the main topics that is related to data science and AI, how we know it today. We mainly speak about AI, but behind AI methodologies, we have big data analytics and we have machine learning approaches. That's why it is important to really understand them. And the course starts from data, starts from explaining to you the different types of data that we have and we generate as humans in our society during our everyday life. Then the whole course is mainly presented through the simplest data type that we can manage and understand, which is tabular data, the one you probably have used in Excel files in your daily life activities. Then an important step that is addressed in the course is the data understanding. So once you have the data, you must understand what is in front of you. And so we will see, or we will start to see different visualization tools that will be deepened by the next course that is going to be presented by Salvo. And an important aspect in this stage is to understand the quality of your data, because you can use the most powerful machine learning and data mining tools that you have, but if you provide trash as input, you will get trash as output. So it's important to understand the quality of the data you have to see which are the adjustment and the cleaning processes and steps that you need to apply in order to get reliable results. So we are going to analyze missing values, outliers, and all these other aspects which are beneficial to obtaining data that can be considered valuable for your next steps. And believe me when I say to you that saying that 100% it's a full data mining machine learning framework starting from data collection to delivery of the result, 80% of the work is about data understanding and data preparation, so making the data suitable for the next steps. We will see the feature engineering step, where we'll teach you how to build new features and starting to extract knowledge, also considering what you have learned in the data understanding phase. Then there are two main tasks that can be performed on this cleaned data, which are unsupervised tasks and supervised tasks. In supervised tasks, you want to make a prediction. You typically have a predictive variable and you want to predict it, like predicting the temperature of the next day, predicting the next TV series you are going to see, predicting if a customer is worth to get a loan or not, etc., etc., etc. This problem can be organized as classification or regression, depending if the target variable is a categorical attribute or is a continuous one. And here we will see the most basic algorithms, which are the basis for all the most complex ones. So in this course, we are only giving to you the very foundational mathematical and algorithmic tools that will allow you to deepen the study and understand even much more complex tools like large language models. In particular, we are going to focus on classification approaches using instance-based methods like KNN, rule-based approaches in terms of decision tree classifiers, and I don't remember if we also introduced something related to probabilities with the naive Bayes approach. And obviously, we will revisit a topic that is well known by students that are trying to face this topic, that is a linear regression, that still is very valid to be considered because it's a building block of other tools. Then moving to the unsupervised part, in this case, you don't know what you are looking for. So you have the data, but you don't have a precise and exact target variable, something you want to predict. So you want to discover things which are hidden behind the data, and you want the data talks to you. We will see mainly two family of approaches, clustering methods, which are meant to group data which are similar. So you will learn tools to group similar customers, group similar products, group similar diseases, group similar images, group similar whatever you want. And also in this case, we will see different techniques, which are the main pillars for clustering, namely center-based approaches that will provide you also a prototype, something that is representative of the group, density-based approaches, and hierarchical approaches that also allows you to explore the hierarchy. And these are very useful, for instance, in the biological domain or healthcare domains, where perhaps you have also some ontologies or already existing hierarchies which are available from the literature. Then the last unsupervised topic we are going to study is pattern mining. In this case, we are studying mainly transaction, and the most simple example of a transaction is when you go to the supermarket and you compose your basket of items. So through this tool, we will learn how to find the subgroups of items that are typically purchased together. And these techniques can be useful to organize, let's say, the display of items in the supermarket on the shelves. But these can be also used to organize your web pages because a transaction can be the set of web pages that you visit in an hour or in a day, or the set of songs that you listen in a time frame. You will see that all these tools can be easily adapted to different contexts. Then finally, there is the data, let's say the pattern extraction, the knowledge extraction, and the evaluation of how good are all these tools. And if the performance are not good enough, you have to go back to the preliminary step, to the training of the models, and even perhaps to understanding that the quality was not good enough. Something that is crucial is not treated in this course, but it's what is mainly meant to be the topic of Salvo's course presented after me, is how you deliver the result, because you can be the best data scientist in the world in running algorithms, but if you cannot in the end tell a story and tell how what the data is communicating to you, it is useless to apply all these complex methodologies. I think my time is over, so thank you again, and I'm open to questions later.
Thank you very much. Yes, we actually have some questions for you already, so please be prepared later. Thank you again. And as you are going to see in Riccardo's course, we will have the theoretical part that is going to explain all the algorithm and methodologies used in data mining, but also the practical part with Angelica that you'll meet later in the later meetings. So the last professor we are going to talk to today will be Salvo, the professor of data visualization and visual analytics. Please, Salvo.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation and for the opportunity to present the course. Let's say I will, let's say already Riccardo invited me, linking to the main topic that will be the content of this course. Basically, let's say the type of challenge that we try to address is to find an efficient and an efficient way to present data or models, like in the case of the data mining course, data in a correct form to the user, to the observer. I mean, in the correct form in a way that we try to avoid to introduce any type of biases, so mispresenting the data to the user, but also, let's say, a lot of concepts are mainly based to the exploratory data analysis that you may acquire also by the other courses that were presented before me. Let's say the course is structured, I would say, into three main pillars, into three main parts. The first one, let's say, presents the cognitive concept, just to make clear that basically what we see is not exactly what we get or how we interpret once the information arrives to our brain. So having in mind which are the limitations of our vision system, but also by our cognitive load that we may get from a visualization is immensely relevant in order to design an efficient visualization, as we said. Also, let's say, to try to get the guarantees that the user cannot miss the relevant part of the information that we are trying to encode within our visualization. We will see that visualization is a kind of compression. We are trying to make a filter, an aggregation, a transformation of the deluge of data that we have nowadays, a huge amount of data that may be useless if we do not find the correct way of presenting. And this kind of mapping, so from the world of the data to the world of the visual appearance, let's say, is done is introduced by a formal conceptualization that is based on visual variables. A little bit mimic what Professor Guidotti was saying before, that we have data types, ordinal data types, categorical data types, qualitative data types. Each one of them has precise characteristics that may call for different type of mapping. And this will be the main topic of the visual variables approach. That is a very, let's say, renowned approach on data visualization that is used in many different tools. In particular, let's say a declarative visualization tool. And so I'm going to the third pillar on a practical, let's say, elements and libraries that we will be using. Remaining into the Python world, we will introduce the Altair viz. Altair is a Python porting of a JavaScript library. So it's a visualization library that is intended for the web in order to create interactive visualization. The interactivity is one of the channel, apart all the color lines and the other things that we will see, that is very powerful to try to bridge the complexity of the data and the cognitive capabilities of the user at the end. So Altair will be our tool for visualization, and it is basically a kind of porting formalization of this visual variable mapping that we have on the other side. So all these elements will be merged together, basically, as I said, to craft efficient visualization, so requiring less energy to the user to be interpreted, and effective. So we are not missing, just the correct messages passed away. So the topic is not to create, let me say, pretty charts. Well, actually, if we create beautiful charts, even better. But the main topic will be to have functional charts that is able to provide the information, the correct level of compression that, as I was saying before, mitigating biases, because sometimes an incorrect presentation may transform the way the data is read and decoded by the user at the end. And all of these may serve two different approaches. The first one probably is more linked to the analytical part that we were discussing before. So for exploratory data analysis, just to formulate hypotheses and verify these quickly by visualization. We were mentioning clustering. So did I set the correct parameters for the grouping algorithm that I'm running? If by visualization, I can see that, well, I found two clusters, but the natural one may be free, for example. And the other, so this may help for exploratory, for checking hypothesis to see if a particular model is working or not. And the other approach will be to explain to the other. So the communication part, to tell the story of the data in a very efficient way to the final users.
And thank you. We actually have some questions for you all. So the first one will be for Riccardo, if it's okay with you. And if you are a beginner in machine learning, what would be the first technique you would study?
So the technique I would recommend to study, or
It's not say, but I think that you recommend to study. Yes, the one that you will focus more.
what is needed, it's a bit of computer science, let's say, a bit of programming. Typically, the language of machine learning data mining, it's Python, that it's not a complex programming language to be learned. That's the very first skill that one should acquire, in my opinion, because it is the one that allows you then to easily adopt libraries implementing various techniques, because you won't have to write the code to use even complex neural networks, because these are already implemented by libraries, but you must know the right way to use them. Then there is the theoretical study that is another history, and then that's depend on your background. So a minimal mathematical background is required, but the simplest method starts from summing and making averages. So nearly everyone can understand them.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I hope it answered the question. I think it did, so don't worry. And another student asked me if we had some database that we could use that were open source, and if we could recommend them to them, because for practicing they would be necessary. So, do you know some pages? I know that SoBigData actually
For me,
has it.
yes, let me make an advertisement on the SoBigData research infrastructure and catalog. So this camp is within the SoBigData project that one of the biggest result of SoBigData is, let's say, providing this catalog for researchers, but also for practitioners, for everyone, where mainly you can access real data sets, okay? Also synthetic data set, typically big data sets. So once you will have acquired a bit of skills, you might be able also to deal with these real data sets. But for starting, I suggest benchmarking small data sets like those you can find easily on Kaggle or UCI machine learning, where small data sets are freely accessible and easy downloadable, and everyone you can play with them. Besides, many libraries, Python libraries, which are typically used for data mining, machine learning, but also for the other tools, allows you to directly play with some very small data sets. So you don't even need to download any data set because these are already embedded inside the libraries.
Okay, thank you very much. We have also a question for Mark, if it's okay. And what is the role of data analysis in digital humanities?
I mean, there's a wide range of roles in data analysis. Or if you look at digital humanities, historically, it was using computational methods to do humanities-based research. So typically kind of textual research. But if we look in contemporary times, then we start to look at processes first of digitization across society and then datafication. And so if we look at more contemporary approaches to digital humanities, then we could broadly say that it addresses societal and cultural dimensions of data analysis, of AI, and looking at the wide range of impacts. So it's really quite open. It's quite evolving. And it's moved a long way from its historical roots with computational humanities.
Thank you very much, Mark. And sorry, I'll start with the question one after the other. Please don't mind me a lot. Another question that was posted on YouTube was actually, once this training path is completed, will there be others? Will they also be based on C or C++? This one I think I can answer too. Since right now the academy is still growing up, maybe the C++ programs won't be used in the next future, but maybe sooner. But of course, after this training path, we will do others. We are actually doing large language models course, and another one will be text analytics or explainable AI. So many other courses will be online. So hopefully other training paths will be open soon. And I have other questions. One is for Denise and Francesca. So 1 second. Okay, okay. How can data analysis and privacy protection interleave? Because they seem to be against each other. Can you please answer? I don't know who wants to start first.
Can I
Thank
take this because it's maybe more technical? So there is indeed some difficulties because there are contrasting value. So often privacy is seen as a problem. So privacy preserving data mining as a branch that is raised in very few very long years times ago. So it's trying to figure out this tension because data quality is often in contrast with data privacy. But there are actually some tools that works quite well in both protecting privacy and guarantee that the analysis performed are still valid and the quality is not dropped. So in the course, you will find some example of this tool. So we have anonymity, we have differential privacy. So there is a long story of research in this field. So the people that pose this question is absolutely right. But fortunately, there are way to deal with this dichotomy. So in a sense, you need to focus on what is really important for you and your analysis and try to be a little bit more loose in other objective, other part of the data. So you try to to understand what is really important for you and focus on this, on protecting that feature instead of other that can be, for example, generalize or suppress or so on. So I don't know if there is want to add something else.
No, that's perfect in this ways, considering that well, we for each kind of activity we are carrying out, we need to deal with what are the fundamental rights that we want to protect and enhance. And when we do research, it's just a compromise on the technical and organizational safeguards that you need to introduce to process a given data flow. It's not privacy against research. It's just how to create the proper balance between fundamental rights and a practical application of them in a given scenario. So it's not an opposition between two different concepts. It's just an articulation within different scenarios. So it's just to use the proper instruments that can be organizational or technical, but it's a different phase, but of the same coin. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. I actually have another question from YouTube. Thank you. Please don't be scared to ask questions. We are very happy to answer them. So one of the questions is there any additional reliable material to further expand my knowledge in this field? I think it was about the last question made. So it would be very helpful for getting started and improving, especially supported by clean documentation to better understand the concepts. If possible, could you share the links or indicate where I can find trustworthy resources or even recommend the specific ones? So I don't know if some of you
Within the
want
results of a SoBigData project, you may find everything, our deliverables, our publications, our policy briefs. you may find either the technical parts or the legal parts, the ethical parts. Everything is in open access, and since one of our main pillar is to follow the principles of open science, so everything is accessible for you, findable, and you may use it and keep it in mind in your research. So explore our research infrastructure. You may find everything.
Thank you very much. I promise it was one question made online. It wasn't publicity or any other thing. So we have one last question for Salvo. I understood that finding the right way to visualize a result requires significant experience, but in your opinion, what is the starting point to spark for finding the right visualization? That's a tricky question.
Yeah,
but
exactly. Let's say, let's say, I say also within the courses there is a part that is more technical, and this is the initial part that you will see in the course. But of course, let's say this is just a starting point. This is like if you want to learn a person to go to ride a bicycle. Let's say you can explain all the rules of physics that guarantees that if you continuing rolling the wheels, you will keep the equilibrium. But it's very difficult, very different than just getting a bike and trying. That's why, let's say, one section of the course is devoted on analyzing other visualization. Probably just thinking now, they are all, the majority of them are negative example, what should not be done in that way. But again, it's, of course, let's say, it's a kind of experience that is acquired by doing, of course, but on the other way, on having a critical view of other visualization. So basically, let's say, analyzing what is going wrong on other type of visualization made by others. And probably I will link at the very first question that was about what kind of requirements is needed for this course. And I think that for many of the courses in data science, but in particular for data visualization, having a kind of orthogonal view on a critical view on the work that is done by others, by colleagues, for example, having a kind of asking for comments for improving, because sometimes we just work on the same task, in particular for data visualization, for example, trying to bring on the result, and we get a little bit locked on our bias. So sometimes getting an external comment may help on having this kind of improvement. And again, let's say also on the course, we are pointing also, let's say, collections or visualization. So they are portals that you can go and just have a look, because basically they help sometimes on getting inspiration, for sure, but also to avoid to reinvent a wheel. So if I have a specific visualization problem, I don't know, I want to visualize data varying over time, for example, I may look at other other solution that other persons have made, just in order to take again inspiration or try to adapt their solution to my particular problem. So very long reply, but very short. Yes, there is a kind of expertise that needs to be done, and but let's say this can be mediated by practicing on doing, or by having on catching, which is the anatomy of a visualization, also by the visualization that we get day by day on the screen or also on the newspaper, for example.
Thank you very much, Salvo. And I can't see any other question, but please, if you have them, feel free to send them on the chat or in the forum that I shared with you in the email from yesterday and last week too. So for now, the things I can say is say thank you to everyone, professors and students that joined us today for the first meeting. As also Roberto at the beginning told you, it's the first actual camp we're doing with SoBigData Academy. So it's a pleasure to have so many students. The next appointments will be on the 20th of March for the second live online meeting, in which you are going to see other professors and meet other professors from different courses. So please, if you have any questions about a particular course or something is difficult for you, be there so we can help you and we can actually let you feel together in this learning path. You're never alone. So please be free to ask us, be free to just talk to us, and we'll be very, very happy to share the aspects with you. Then on the 15th of April, there will be the other third live online meeting. And on the 30th of April, we will finish the camp with the deadline for the courses and the start of the datathon, in which there will be 3 prizes for the winner of the datathon based on different kind of like knowledge that you had before. So there will be students that know more about data science in a class and other that we will see later on. So please, whatever, let us know if you have any difficulties, and we will be there. And thank you very much